Okay, good evening. It's 6 p.m. This is the meeting of the Southwick Sewer Implementation Committee. Today is December 14th, 2023, and we'll take a member roll call.
Randy Brown here.
Jerry Patria here.
Freda Brown here.
Okay, we're all here. We'll start out with, there's no one here for public comments. Anybody online for public comments? I don't really see anybody. Not seeing any, we'll move on. All right, I guess we'll take a look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was October 24th of 2022. Seeing as how we typically only meet twice a year these days, unless something comes up that we need to discuss. Okay, give me a second to look at the minutes here.
I'll make a motion to accept as written.
Well, we got, roll call, Cass Brian saying yes, and when we have him being absent.
Brian Crank is no longer on the committee.
Oh, I'm
Listen.
sorry, he should have been present. Okay, I'll change that to present.
Yeah. And with that in mind,
He was present.
at the
During
meeting, at the
that
time,
meeting,
yeah, sure.
yep,
I'll take a second.
Oh. Okay, am I supposed to say what, something else?
You just get a second.
If there-
Oh, I
if
second,
there's a
oh,
group
you're
of-
saying, you're taking a second, I
Right.
thought you said you were seconding, I will second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor, Randy,
Aye.
Greta,
Uh,
Jerry, aye. Okay.
Okay. I'll just make the correction on the voice.
All right.
You have to sign this. Oh, Jan signs.
Okay, so next on the agenda, I guess, is just discuss new business. I don't know if there's anything new to talk about. When we last met, we made some notes and we talked about pump station at Prifty Park. We're gonna have one or two new connections. There was one bid at that time, and we were gonna wait until a later date. Has anything been decided on the Prifty Park?
We have not moved any forward on that since. So
Okay.
we did go out to bid. We got one bid, it was too high.
Yeah,
So daunting what funding was available, so we've kind of sat on that since then.
okay. And we also talked about some potential for Hudson Drive expansion. They have applied for a grant, or someone has applied to a grant to connect Sam West Road to Hudson.
I'll talk about that's under new business.
That's under new-
So I'll talk about that.
All right. Okay, so I guess as far as the old business goes, we really didn't have anything that was unresolved. We did talk about the master plan, and maybe Randy, you can fill us in on something about that. I guess the rest would be under new business, so if you wanna go ahead and take the lead and just fill us in
Sure.
on what's been happening.
So the first thing here is Southwick Village update. So I met with, this is the American Inn, the cottages, it's been a couple of meetings over the past year, but
Yeah.
I still say the American Inn a lot. So, I met with a representative of the owner maybe 2 months ago, and, they reached out to me to talk about sewers. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Okay.
So, if you remember, they are under a consent order to tie into a municipal system, and I think they're given 10 years to do that. This is year 3 of that 10-year window. So they haven't really done a whole lot on their end up until now.
Okay.
So they has to talk to me and see kind of where the town stood with the project, if we could make anything work. So I told them we haven't, we've tried, I gave them the history. We've tried to get sewers. We had a town meeting votes fail 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer than that now.
Yeah.
So since then, really, it's been pretty stagnant, but there is a need on their end. So they have, not great options, but they have a couple options. One is to build a pipeline all the way into our system,
Okay,
which would be down by the center of town. Another option would be to do something on-site treatment facility.
right.
Or a third option would be to possibly go to just hit the blue admit up at top.
Mm,
Who's joining us?
yeah.
That should be all set now.
Okay.
The third option would be to try to coordinate with Westfield directly and tie into the Westfield Connects service.
Oh, 10
Just on the other side of the other open port. So any option is not gonna be cheap or, really attractive, but they really have to do one of the three in my mind.
Okay,
So I said, let's see, where things stand. I told them I would reach out to folks in Westfield and ask about that third option. I think probably that would be the least costly in my mind.
to tie in on 10 and 202 and go north.
Yeah, but that would also require buy-in from Westfield. They may have some
Hmm,
limitation in their system, with their capacity in some of the pipelines or the
Really?
pump stations that are
Okay.
downstream, so.
Mhm.
That we have to have the discussion, so I have not had that yet, but I do
Okay.
plan to do
so
that.
you need to discuss infrastructure if they go with that particular option. Was there an option to go like across fields to the interceptor, or was that still kind of?
Yeah, I guess you could call that option 4, but I think there's a lot of wetlands and other environmental impacts that would really.
A lot of
rule that
easements
option out.
involved and things like that?
There would be at least one, depending on where they cut through, but there would be at least one private property crossing. most likely.
Okay, so
And there's there's wetlands and streams over there too.
I'm
so.
sure that a lot of people would be involved, yeah.
Is that the owl?
Oh,
No.
hello.
No, yeah, I'm trying to get the owl
I
to,
think I see Diane, hi.
Okay, so we can. So that's really the update on Southwick Village.
Okay.
Not,
But they will have to have something done within 10 years.
So now the 7th, right?
this, 7 more years.
7 more years they have to do it, and, all right. Very good. Let's see what else we had that we were talking about.
Well, there's a list here on the agenda.
Okay,
So
yeah,
next
why
item is
don't you just fall down?
Bungalow Street. So this is a good project we're working on through a community development block grant. And we're looking to incorporate a sewer line into that. So we are actually very close to going out to bid for construction.
Oh, good.
And the plan is to incorporate a dry sewer line. And that would be a low pressure line
Okay,
with the stuff of the properties. And if the residents wanted to tie in, they'd have the ability to do so.
how many potential hookups are there gonna be on that? You're
Top of
gonna
my
have,
head,
you're gonna have commercial and you're gonna have residential, right?
bungalow is all
All residential,
residential, yeah.
and then Hudson Drive is all commercial.
Well, yeah, Hudson will be out. I'll talk about Hudson in a minute.
Yep.
They'll separate, 2 separate projects.
Okay.
But yeah, bungalow would be all residential. There may be, I'm gonna say 10 to 15.
Hmm.
Maybe more than that, maybe close to 20
Okay.
without counting.
Good.
And then, so we're going to bid on Bungalow Street. Hopefully the next 4 to 6 weeks.
All right, what do you think our chances are of getting those folks hooked up?
I guess it's up to them, when timing,
Yeah.
if they have a failure in their system, they could reach out and they could tie in. at that
It
point.
won't be mandatory like
No.
phase 1 was, so
Correct.
being
yeah.
that we're in phase 2 now, it's optional.
Yeah, it would be required if only if there's a Title V.
Title 5 failure, okay.
And Hudson Drive, so we're working on a project through another grant to loop Hudson Drive to St. West Road.
Yeah,
And there's a gravel operation that's underway. It's been underway for a couple decades now, I think, at the end of Hudson Drive.
Yeah.
And they're,
that's a
Posted.
solar farm there?
yes, yeah, well, the solar farm is a new, hasn't built yet.
All right, potential.
Yeah, but this Tilcon property, there's approval for a solar field. That's, I think, starting on construction this year, but then the rest of the property is, could be prime development. So part of that road loop, we're looking to extend sewers to Hudson Drive. And the rail trail's right there, it's be a nice connection to
That would be a good thing to do to make use of,
Mhm.
the capacity that we do have.
So it's under design. There's no funding or a timeline for construction yet, but that's under design right now.
Okay. Yeah. Any comments or anything? Or you want to,
Yeah.
if while we're going along,
Yeah.
it strikes you,
So who would be benefiting by doing the Hudson Drive Road?
The road itself.
Yeah,
So we're doing it, really to help, expand that development,
for
industrial park
development.
potentially, yeah.
Okay.
And the next item here is a master plan discussion.
right?
So I've been on the master plan committee. The committee's now been disbanded,
Yes.
but we've been meeting for about 2 years. And over that time, there's a lot of recommendations and for, changes around town and how we want Southwick to look like in the next 20 years or so.
Right.
So as part of that, there was some discussion about sewers. So I don't know, did you print it out, Gene? I sent you an email with yes.
Yes.
That was what you had last October.
I think this,
That was the survey response,
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
But I'll share, this is just a one page thing,
Okay,
I'll just read it off and I'll list. So as part of the action items that came out of this master plan committee, there are probably over 100 actions, recommendations. And so of those, only one of them really involves sewer implementation committee.
okay,
And I'll read off the action, and it kind of follows our current guidelines anyway. So it says, continue to evaluate opportunities for sewer expansion in town with projected growth in population, climate change, and other infrastructure considerations.
okay.
So it's kind of like our focus now as it is,
Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing.
So, but it's good to know that, the committee, I think, thinks that, there's still a future for sewers in town. Things have been stagnant for a little while now.
What was the general consensus of people that were in favor of some sort of sewer expansion? I know this this is kind of old data, but it's probably still pertinent.
Yeah, there were some neighborhoods, right, that were higher. I mean, I don't remember the results of that. You wanna,
It seemed to me that there were some folks that wanted to see it in their neighborhoods and others that didn't need it.
yeah, so I did this a year or so ago, but this was a breakdown. So Feeding Hills Road and neighborhoods, yeah, there was a 50-50,
Yeah,
yes or no interest. Congamon Road, Chief Ash Road, same thing, 50-50, yes or no. And then there's some other neighborhoods, where, those are the two highest yes percent.
of all the percentages, yeah,
Yeah.
right,
So, but if we're gonna, focus certain areas, certainly we should focus on those where
yeah,
there's a need and people are, looking for it.
okay.
So,
So, yeah, it's just continue to evaluate, I guess, is,
yeah, continue what we have been doing,
all right, fair enough. Comments?
Well, until their septic systems fail, they're not gonna say yes.
Mm.
Yeah, then everybody,
Everyone's on their own schedule.
everybody
Yeah.
wants it after that. When's this coming?
Yep.
Yeah. We do get phone calls once in a while asking if sewers are available or if
Yeah.
they're,
Have there been any more hookups at all, like on Point Grove Road or
I don't think we have any on Point Grove Road.
nothing, huh?
No.
'Cause there was there was a gentleman I know that contacted me some years ago about potentially hooking up, and I'm not sure whatever became of it.
Yeah,
You remember the guy in question?
I don't remember.
Andy
no.
Rickicki?
I remember the name, yeah, so yeah, I think he owns a vacant lot maybe.
I think
or-
so, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only potential hookup I saw coming in. Other than that, we really haven't expanded since we completed phase one.
No, we get, 1 or 2 a year, the new connections a year,
Okay,
that's about it.
all right. And our capacity is still at about 150K, yeah. like that.
Yeah, our full capacity, yep.
It really
we're still
hasn't, that really hasn't
1/3,
changed,
Has not changed,
okay. Well, status quo, I guess,
yeah.
all right. The budget discussion.
I put this on there only because we don't meet that often and, our budget cycle is gonna start soon.
Yeah,
So I think in the past years, we've just voted to authorize the chair to set the budget
right,
for the committee. I mean, we have such a small budget to begin with. It's
Yeah.
$100
Makes it-
for
yeah.
mailings or printings or education, I think.
Again,
not much.
we keep it at what it was last year, if that's okay with everybody.
I would say. And even if we even use it, we probably haven't used it at all this year. Do you know, Gene?
No, I think we only have $100 in supplies.
Yeah.
And my pay is absolutely minimal. The only thing you can do is see what's there for my salary per se,
Yeah,
and just reduce that.
yeah, and that's not us anyways, that would be the.
No,
different
that would
board.
just be,
So,
you can motion to reduce that salary line item to, bring it down to a bare minimum of.
I would opt to just leave it the way it is in
Yeah.
case something
Leave
does
it.
come up. It's not that much to start with.
No,
It's, and in the past, I know we have donated our allotment
oh,
to,
you did spend that $100.
yeah, to,
On an ink,
something to.
printer cartridge. Sorry, you did spend that.
okay,
And we have donated it to other departments, I think, in previous years. I think copy machine comes to mind.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
been around a long time. Since the nineties. So, all right, so as far as the budget, do we need a motion, Jeannie, to keep it?
Randy can
level
make,
funded or,
well, Randy can make a motion that the
chair,
chair
Mm,
can opt to say what the budget is for the committee, that
Yeah.
you don't need a committee vote.
okay,
It'll just be your say so,
is that
basically.
acceptable?
Yeah.
Acceptable. Yeah.
So Randy
I'll
would
make
make
the
a
motion, have
motion.
Jerry, to set the budget for.
And I
2025.
second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Okay.
and we'll, as far as I can see, Jeannie, we'll just keep it level funded as we're,
Well, I'll
Where it was.
wait till they give it to us,
right,
and then I'll send
And then
it to
we'll-
you, and then you can look at it.
okay, that sounds good, that's reasonable.
Mm.
All right, and the next thing is the 2023 annual town report discussion, anything on that, Rick?
Well, kind of on the same line, we're not gonna meet as a committee until that report comes out and is due to back to the select board office.
Okay,
So I would just make a motion to have the chair draft that.
draft something up,
on our behalf.
says what's been going on for the last year or so,
Probably gonna be similar to what we wrote last year.
Yeah.
Which is not much.
and I might need your help a little bit,
Yeah, that's
because
fine.
you're a little bit more involved in it. So, it's usually between all of us to see what's been going on.
Yeah.
Not much, we haven't really, which is why we meet only twice a year, but we still do meet, so. And as I said, if something did come up,
We should meet again.
we'd be here to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'd truly like to see our phase two get utilized. So far, really, I think the only thing we've done of note is to put the parallel interceptor in. And, occasionally a hookup,
Mhm.
but we do have the capacity in the treatment plant in Westfield that we're really not taking advantage of, and. Perhaps we could serve more homes if the need arose, or. The problem being, the price and the money and the grants is always changing. So you never really know what kind of deal to deal with. In phase one, you had no options. You just, if it went by your house, you had to hook up. In phase two, it is optional. So,
Mhm.
and a lot of folks in the early days of, just to reiterate a little, did not want to see it because of the expense.
Mhm.
So that's why we're where we are, and haven't taken much action since. All right, any other things to discuss, or any comments from anybody on Zoom?
Hi,
Hi.
no comments from me. I was just trying to keep in touch with you guys and see what your feelings were on the expansion of the sewer, or, was it a better idea to cap it where it is or just do industrial? Like you said, it's a hard sell for the residential.
It has been proven to be that. We've had whole neighborhoods come in and, to say, no, we don't want this. And
Right.
we've tried to canvass a couple other neighborhoods that we thought might be a good candidate for it. And we got some good responses, but nothing ever really came of it. In particular, Congamon Road, we had an opportunity to put a dry line in while we were doing the road. And that would have been a great time to do it, but that got shot down, so.
If you look at your two neighborhoods that responded to the survey with, a heavier yes, you might think about using some of your budget money to just do a survey of those two neighborhoods and give them some ideas what, you know, current, what the cost would be, what the impact would be, and maybe you'll get some movement.
Yeah, that's worth a shot, I guess. And that would be, Congamon Road and
Feeding Hills Road,
Meeting Hills
like
Road.
Feeding Hills and some of the side streets off Feeding Hills Road.
So on Congamon Road, didn't they don't we have like 5 years that we can't do it? Has those 5 years gone by?
How long is
Did you
that
put
been?
that new road in?
Yeah.
I thought we couldn't do anything because the road is,
Yeah, it's probably been about 5 years.
that's,
Yeah.
You know, that was the
Kind of
problem
like-
where, you know, we weren't allowed to dig up the road, you know, for a certain amount of time. The same with 10 and 202 if we wanted to do something. But I still think it would be a good idea to put a dry line in down to College Highway, because now you have that whole center with all the businesses. And if you want to talk about the history, we once had all the businesses come in and talk to us about it, and some were even willing to contribute. But it just never made it off the planning stages. We had Dunkin' Donuts, we had Big Y. I think Pride,
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah,
No.
but the neighbors didn't want it.
yeah, it was a matter of.
Right, yep. It's the
looking-
residences all the way through that didn't want to have to hook up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's understandable because the price did go up quite a bit, and you know, people just didn't want the expense.
And some of them that might have said yes, had they not just redid their septic system.
Right, yeah,
$1,000 to
Exactly,
redo.
you know,
yes, yeah.
so it was.
I mean, I don't know, you might think about that kind of a micro survey and, you know, find out how old their systems are. When are they gonna start needing that? And maybe focus a planned timeline in those,
Yeah.
in those couple of neighborhoods.
We've done that before. I'm trying to remember where we did those targeted surveys. Anybody remember?
Yeah, over on the where Dave McWilliams lives in that neighborhood there in Sam Santiello. What's the name of that road?
We did it down
Wood-
Bungalow.
Woodland
veteran.
Ridge.
Woodland Ridge.
Yeah.
We surveyed them and we got some sort of favorable response. I had an idea.
They're kind of, that's not really an old neighborhood, is it?
No, it's actually kind of a new one, isn't it?
Is-
Right? That's not, I wouldn't say that's,
Yourself or anything?
Oh, I'm sorry. Diana, could you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry, Diane Gale, 5 Point Grove Road.
I'm supposed to ask that. I'm remiss in that.
My fault. I knew that, sorry.
My
Yeah.
apologies. Do we have a list of Title V failures from town?
Board of Health would have that information.
I'm wondering if maybe we could use that as a jumping point to find out if a bunch of, but then again, if they've had failures and it repaired their system, they say, no, we're good. So it's a little bit too late, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we need a strategy if we're gonna sell this thing, and we've tried. The price and the cost of the whole thing seems to have been the factor.
Oh, sure,
For most people,
sure.
so, but perhaps another survey.
Mhm.
We are still in existence, maybe we could do something, we have street addresses, maybe we could do that. Well, we're thinking in terms like a bingo card to send it out, like we used to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it was a 1-page.
Yeah,
Survey we
survey
sent
type of
out.
thing and
Yeah,
you know,
we
mail it back
asked
to
for-
Don, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think we also did some of the streets off Point Grove Road, like Bungalow, Lakemont.
Yeah,
Veteran.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
we
yeah.
Targeted them as well. in that survey.
Right, well.
Oh,
I'm-
those on the lake.
Yeah, and it was, again, it was never a high yes percent. It was always lukewarm at best.
Sure, I'm sure.
Well, maybe we can put our heads together and come up with a potential area to be targeted. And we're gonna have to bump up our budget a little. If we're gonna do a bingo mailing, you know, I'm sure $100 won't cover it.
No.
But
No, the price of it.
we could think about doing that and hopefully before we, set the budget. if we're
Well,
gonna-
I'll send you the survey results again.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a
And
good
then
place
you
to
can
start.
look at it and decide what you want to do.
Yeah, but that's a good tip. I'd like to do something. We're just kind of stagnant here, you know?
You know, you might even think about using some high school kids to go out and do on the street surveys of those couple of neighborhoods. Maybe some kids that are in those neighborhoods that they know could go out with the questionnaire face to face.
Hmm. You know, any interns?
Little bit different approach.
Yeah, I'm thinking Boy Scouts, interns, it's,
Oh, I'm thinking Lucas Karen is a good contact point to corral a couple of his friends, maybe.
yeah,
He was on the master plan committee as the student representative, one of them.
Is he the young guy we're dealing with on Concom?
Yeah, I think you just hired him.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
all right, well, we'll get an opportunity to meet him. Maybe I could
Eh,
see how he feels about it.
Float the question, see what happens.
Hey, you want to get busier?
No, get some friends.
Okay. well,
They
Look
they
into
would
that.
have to be made knowledgeable as to what the questions might be to them and what they're going to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, I mean, you could feed them a few facts, get some current data. And just, I think what you would want to do is gauge when they're going to need that replacement and then, and then come up with a plan to hit that date.
Usually if they
So-
fail Title V, it's usually too late unless,
So when everybody put their septic systems in when their house was built.
Yeah.
And so it could be still the original septic system, or it could be it's already failed. So one of the things would be to look at where the houses are at a certain time, 2 years before a normal septic system fails.
yeah.
A neighborhood.
How long do they normally last?
I
The original?
Mm,
I think it depends. It's one of those situations where how much is it used? Where
It
is it?
depends on who lived there, I guess, right?
Yeah,
And how close are you to a water? Like me, I live on the lake. I'm 18 feet away from it. And I'm sure the leach field got quite saturated over the years. Others are dry and insane.
Okay.
It all depends on the
how
situation.
you abuse it too.
And
If you're
how many
got
flushes you
someone-
have and how
Oh,
many.
if you're putting other stuff,
Oh, yeah. You're not
down the
supposed to-
drain,
you're
that
not supposed to
probably
do
should
that.
be there,
Yeah, right.
So if you have a replacement, is that noted, you must need a permit to replace it?
Oh, yeah. You need a drain layer. You need have to go through the process, has to be approved. And
So I'm wondering if that's something you could pull some data from the property tax records in the neighborhood you're looking, streets,
not sure.
that you could look at the age of the homes and kind of guess
I don't know.
when they're gonna need it.
I don't know how well documented all of that is. Sometimes people just do things like, okay, they'll have a guy over and
True, yep,
maybe they didn't even have a Title V inspection. They just went ahead and redid it. They know somebody that can do it and they did it.
yeah.
A lot of it is documented. But not all of it is.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard to gauge. So that's why we were kind of looking at neighborhoods. We'd like to do a block of them. Well, we can, not just, if like one guy from this street and one guy from this street, it's not gonna be practical. You gotta-
Right,
You gotta.
right. Yep.
Yeah. So I think we gotta put our heads together and determine what neighborhoods are most likely to be in need at some point. And I know Point Grove Road was one of them, and they came en masse and did not want it. Even though it was right next to the school complex.
Powder Mill, you mean Powder Mill Road?
Powder
Powder
Mill,
Mill,
excuse me,
Powder
Powder
Mill,
Mill Road.
Powder Mill, yeah.
But, yeah, we've, since phase 2 started, we've tried. In fact, we went down and talked to the 3 retirement villages. Like Randy said, now the Southwood villages are very interested, but you need the infrastructure first. But that would pull in quite a few, EDUs.
Yeah, yep.
EDUs, right?
Mhm.
And, take advantage of, the advanced capacity that we do have, so.
So and then their systems may be failing again, the other two people, I mean, they all fix their systems, but how long does they probably have lots of abuse in those.
Yeah, they're on several systems, both Winfield and Rosewood.
They're all on site too, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, all right.
think it's a lot of the medications that elderly usually take, they come in, goes in, goes out, and that's what actually is,
Really? Okay.
yeah, damaging the septic systems,
Wow.
is the medication.
Who knew that? Chemicals, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate everyone's input. If anybody has anything further? We don't usually have much to talk about,
No,
but it's nice seeing y'all again.
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Night.
It's the adjourn.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Night.